Good morning, and welcome to the Sunday service of the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of San Miguel de Allende. Bienvenidos todos al servicio dominical de los Unitarios Universalistas de San Miguel de Allende. We are located on the lands of the Chichimeca, Otomi, and Nahua peoples, and are making community by Zoom across Mexico, Canada, and the U.S. Nos encontramos en los pueblos de tierra Chichimeca, Otomi, y Nahua. Hacemos comunidad a través de Zoom en todo México, Estados Unidos, y Canadá. We are glad to be here together. Estamos contentos de estar aquí juntos hoy. This is a place where we can bring our whole selves and be accepted as we are and with love and friendship. Este es un lugar donde podemos traer todo nuestro ser y ser aceptados tal como somos, con amor y amistad. My name is Ann Kuffner, and I will be your service leader today. Mi nombre es Ana Kuffner y seré la líder de servicio hoy. We are delighted that you are joining us today for this special service on World Water Day. Estamos encantados de que se una a nosotros hoy para el servicio especial en el Día Mundial de Agua. If we have any visitors here today, would you please stand so that we can see who you are and personally greet you and ask you where you're from after the service? Welcome. For those on Zoom, if you are visiting, please type your name and how you heard of us in the chat box so we can greet you personally later. After the service, those on Zoom are invited to stay connected and visit with others in the main room for discussion. Before we enter our worship time, we have a few announcements. And first, I'd like to remind you that Malcolm is here in Corral. San Miguel de Allende is presenting The Music of Vienna on Friday, March 27th at 6 p.m. at the Temple de la Tercera Orden. And a number of members here are participating in that. And if you'd like to go, the tickets will be for sale over here with Sophia, and someone else will be selling tickets as well. And now we will start with an important update from our Social Justice Foundation from Peter Solie and Cynthia Davis Hall.
Good morning, everyone. We are happy to be here with you today. In our Sunday services, we often talk about how important it is that as Unitarian Universalists, we reach out beyond these walls and support our neighbors in need. Today, we want to share how, through our Gifts for Good initiative, together we make this a reality. Right now, the Social Justice Foundation is becoming a beacon of hope for NGOs who are doing the hardest work in nearby communities. All 14 of the organizations we've historically supported have applied for a grant with us again this year. They aren't just asking to keep the lights on, they are expanding their reach to meet the growing needs of our neighbors. But here is the most inspiring part. We have received 6 brand new applications this year. That is nearly a 50% increase in organizations looking to us for leadership and partnership, from senior advocacy to critical rural health care, to animal welfare and LGBT affirmation and inclusion. These groups see us as their best hope for a more just San Miguel.
However, our neighbors are facing a steep climb. We all feel it. Inflation is growing, political instability is rising, and a local rent crisis is squeezing some of our partners. One NGO is grappling with soaring costs in order to keep the roof over their programs. Another program requires increased legal fees due to immigration disruption. And all of the applicants cite a growth in demand for what they can provide in the compost. Our goal this year is to award at least $125,000 in grants this year. The good news is we're already on our way. To date, we have raised $15,000, thank you very much. With our endowment interest, that gives us another $25,000 to cross the finish line and fund this year's needs. We need to raise another $45,000 from our community. We are all blessed to live in San Miguel. Let's pay that blessing forward by investing in the dignity and longevity of the town we have come to love.
To those of you who have already given to the Gifts for Good campaign this year, thank you. We gratefully appreciate your help. We ask those of you who have not given and can to please do so today. Please look at the insert in your order of service or follow the link in the Zoom chat to make a commitment. If you have questions or just want to learn about the fantastic NGOs that we do support, please stop by our table over here to the right after service and chat with any of us. We'd love to hear from all of you. Together, let's ensure that when our community knocks, we can open our door. Thank you.
Thank you.
Those who are here with us at the Aldea can join us for coffee and cookies after the service. We invite you to check out the welcome table with lots of information and opportunities. And also come to our Thursday lunch and games event here in San Miguel and Reverend Tom's coffee hour on Zoom every Tuesday. You can find the details on the back of your order of service. Now, please join us in singing hymn number 100, I've Got Peace Like a River. The words will appear on the screen, and they are in your hymnal as well. And Lauren's going to lead us, fortunately.
Like a river in my soul.
Today, in celebration of World Water Day, we will focus on how water sustains our bodies and spirits and also enhances our community. On this special day, Dylan Terrell, the founder and executive director of Caminos de Agua, which is one of the NGOs the foundation supports, is joining us. We are delighted that Dylan will be speaking about water and community in our region. It's so easy to take the water we depend upon for granted. Most of us can just open the tap in our house and pour ourselves a cup of this liquid gold. But many people in the Campo of Guanajuato and all around the world do not have enough water to drink, bathe, or clean. Others do have water, but it's so contaminated that it's harmful to their health. During this service, I invite you to appreciate that water is a key element we need for our physical survival. But let's also reflect upon how water can enhance our spiritual lives and community. Historically, many indigenous people have considered water a spirit. So today we are including several Native American songs that honor water to remind us of the critical role water plays in sustaining the interdependent web of all life on this planet. Our ancient ancestors understood the value and beauty of water in all of its forms, whether it's part of a river, a spring, a lake, ocean, or other source. Their survival depended on these water sources. For this reason, ancient civilizations paid homage to the water deities they believed controlled their water resources. Consider Tlaloc, an Aztec god, and Chac, a Mayan god. These two deities were believed to be responsible for rain. Maya priests ventured deep into underground caves, which had to be terrifying, to make sacrifices to Chac, begging him to send rain to so that their crops would be abundant. We all understand that water is critical to our daily lives and survival, but water is also a source of healing and spiritual inspiration. Consider the calming effects of a babbling brook, the pitter-patter of rain on a roof at night, the continuous flow of waves crashing upon the seashore, the thundering resonance of a cascading waterfall. It's easy to understand why many meditation practices incorporate the sound of water flow to help quiet the mind. As we light the chalice, we dedicate the service to water as an element that sustains the interdependent web of all life, provides healing, tranquility, and spiritual inspiration, and brings community together. I now invite you all to join together in reciting this fellowship's unique covenant. This is our promise that we aspire to of how to be in relation to each other and the larger world. I will lead it first in English, and then Sophia will lead it in Spanish. And if you will please stand for the covenant. Sophia? Okay. Okay. We respect the interdependent web of life and work for a just and peaceful world. We encourage the search for truth and meaning, strive for compassion in our relationships, and seek values that will benefit our lives and the lives of others. This is our covenant.
Respetamos todos los estilos de vida dentro de su red interdependiente y trabajamos por un mundo justo y pacífico. Alentamos la búsqueda de la verdad y la comprensión total. Nos esforzamos por mantener compasión en nuestras relaciones y buscamos valores que beneficien nuestras vidas y las vidas de los demás. Este es nuestro convenio.
Please be seated. I'm the Reverend Tom Rossiello, the minister of this fellowship, and as always, it's a joy to be with you and participating in this service. We want you to know if at any time you need the assistance of a minister, I'm here as well as others, and we also have a wonderful care team who are available with various kinds of help. You just go on our website and you can find out how to contact us by email. We are a caring community, and an important part of being that caring community is sharing the significant joys, sorrows, and concerns of our members and friends. We do so with the hope that we all take note and that we each reach out to others, especially those who are experiencing difficult times. For each joy or sorrow or concern we express, we light a candle, indicating that that person or that thought or that prayer is being held in all of our hearts this morning. If you wish to have a joy, sorrow, or concern shared in an upcoming service, you can email it to me, and you can do that by same email you'll find on the website. If you're going to be at the service, you can write it on a card, as many folks have done this morning, and we'll read it. And if you're on Zoom this morning, you can go ahead and type it into chat now. I'd like to light a candle of concern first, and we'll light the candles for David Stia. David's had hip surgery. I visited him this week, and he's pretty much in bed and bored. And so if you are so inclined to send him an email, if you know him and you might want to visit, you could check with his wife, Sylvia, to see if that would be appropriate and when it would be. But we want to keep him in our thoughts and prayers. We have a joy and a concern. We'll start with the concern that Paula's still got her bandage on her hand, but it's on the mend. And an extension of that joy is that Diane Kennedy and George Aronson have stepped up to the plate and are providing our piano music this morning. So sincere thanks to them. We light a candle for Margot Johnson, who I saw on Zoom this morning. It's a joy that she is healing well, and we want to make it even a further joy because Wednesday is her birthday, so we light this as a birthday candle. It is a week of birthdays. Rosemary Harmon's birthday is tomorrow. And between those two is another one which I was hoping I didn't have to mention, but it's mine. So and we have another great joy, our guest speaker, Dylan Terrell, and particularly the organization that we're reflecting on today, Caminos de Agua, was selected, was honored by the Rotary just this week, and Dylan was named the Rotary Person of the Year. So how about that for getting the guest speaker right in time? Several people expressed this to me in the last weeks, what a joy it is to see our children and youth. Last class that they had, you may remember we had 17s and preteens gathering for discussion. And of course, we still continue with our younger age group as well. And our thanks go to all those adults, Ann Geyer, but all the adults who've helped with that. But to our teens and to our younger members who are committed to being part of that. We have a concern from Susan. I think this is Susan McDonald? Yes, okay. She's sharing her sorrow that her brother, who has been in a nursing home and has had a lonely, difficult life due to disabilities, appears to be actively dying today. And so let's hold her brother and Susan in our thoughts and prayers. Our joy, sorrows, and concerns are certainly not limited to just our own community. And we're going to light our peace candle for all those who are killed, displaced, or injured, or who have lost loved ones in war. We pray especially for the war in the Middle East, but we don't forget the war in Ukraine and the wars that are being fought still in Africa. We pray they'll all come to an end with a just and dignified solution for everyone. We again light our Mexican candle, and that is for the people of Mexico as a candle of gratitude from all of us who are expats and are so warmly welcomed into this community, but also a candle of concern for the many ways that, particularly in the United States, Mexicans have not been treated with the dignity and respect that they deserve as human beings, as immigrants in another country. Miguel, do we have any on Zoom? No, okay. Let's light a final candle then for all the joys, sorrows, and concerns that are held deep in our hearts but remain unspoken this morning. I invite you now to join me in a time of prayer or reflection. Spirit of community, we share and find strength and common purpose in each other. We turn our minds and our hearts to one another, seeking to bring into our circle all who need our love and support. And those who are ill in body or spirit, those who are lonely, those who have been wronged. We renew our deep commitment to justice, fairness, and compassion for all people. We acknowledge that we are part of the web of life that makes us one with all of humanity and one with all the universe. May this time of shared joy, sorrows, and concerns lead us to a better understanding of our community and of the precious gifts that we possess that enable us to minister to each other and strengthen us in our resolve to live the values and principles of our faith's tradition. I now invite those who wish to come forward and light a candle in silence, giving witness to whatever thought, prayer, or concern is in your heart this morning, to meet Ann and myself down here now. Thank you, Ann.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you're having a good day. My name is Don Zellett.
And my name is Louisa Field. I would like to read a saying from Kurosawa because of what Dylan does and others do in this world, and we need to remember. People today have forgotten they are really a part of nature, yet they destroy the very nature on which our lives depend. The most important things for human beings are clean air and clean water. And thanks to Dylan and Caminos de Agua, we have programs that are helping to improve the health of those in the campo. Thank you.
As foundation stewards, Luisa and I are your representatives at Caminos de Agua. We love what Caminos de Agua does for the community and for the people of Guanajuato State. For us, working with this organization has been a true pleasure and a labor of love. Dylan Terrell is the founder and executive director of Caminos de Agua, a Santa Barbara-based nonprofit organization working to improve human health and community well-being through adequate and affordable access to clean water. Since 2011, Caminos has partnered with researcher institutions, grassroots organizations, and rural communities to expand water testing, rainwater harvesting, and locally governed water treatment solutions. Along the way, the organization has developed and adapted practical technologies designed to specifically for the complex water challenges facing the region. At this time, please help us welcome our friend and true visionary, Dylan Terrell.
Hello. Well, thank you, Don. Thank you, Luisa. Thank you to everybody here at UU for welcoming me back again today. As stated, my name is Dylan Terrell. I'm the founder and executive director of Caminos de Agua, a nonprofit based here in San Miguel. And for about the past 15 years or so, I've had the absolute privilege of working alongside rural communities all around our watershed to address something very, very basic, but very important: access to safe, clean water. Now, Caminos works, just double checking there. Caminos works with communities to test water quality. We develop practical water solutions, and we train local leaders to manage those solutions over time. So a number of years ago, we were celebrating the completion of a project of rainwater harvesting systems in a community called San Antonio de Lourdes. At that time, the community had been without water for well over a decade. The well had dried and completely collapsed in on itself, and the only water that was actually available came from an agricultural well close by that had some of the highest levels of contamination we had ever tested. Now, after several months of working together with the community, they had finished building 25 of these large-scale rainwater harvesting systems, those big white things you see in the back of that picture there. And we gathered for an inauguration, a celebration. It's a really important part of the process. And during that celebration, people began talking about what they were thankful for. And I just kind of assumed they'd be talking a lot about water, given their situation. But I was really surprised to find that not one person mentioned water throughout that entire time. They talked about what it was like to get to know their neighbors, what it was like to work together. They talked about what it was like to learn to do things that they never thought they could do, like these young women who learned to sling concrete and took that forward from there as well. And one woman, a grassroots community organizer named Lucha, who's the woman in the yellow on the far left of that picture there, she's been working with Caminos ever since we've started, basically. And she said something that day that really resounded with us in Caminos, and we've never forgot. She said, "We're not just building rainwater systems, we're building community." Now that moment has stayed with me and stayed with Caminos because it's captured something important about the work we do. Water is community. Safe water is not just about technology or infrastructure, it's about people. Communities that are coming together to understand their water, to govern it, and to take responsibility over it. So today, on World Water Day 2026, I want to share a few stories about what that actually looks like here in our region. How communities come together to face their water challenges and what becomes possible when people take ownership over their solutions. So to understand what this actually looks like, it helps to understand where our water comes from. Yep. There it is. In this region, most communities depend on groundwater from aquifers. They drill these big wells, which you see there, that blue pipe infrastructure, and extract water. Now, they're facing two challenges at the same time. For one, the groundwater table is dropping, which means communities like San Antonio de Lourdes go without water for sometimes years and years at a time. And much of the groundwater that remains is heavily contaminated with naturally occurring arsenic and fluoride in the water. Now, these contaminants are dissolved minerals. They come from the underground geology. And they aren't bacteria that can be killed off by simply boiling the water or using chlorine. And long-term consumption can lead to all sorts of challenges, dental and bone challenges in children, cognitive development and learning challenges as well as damage to different organs and several types of cancer. And these contaminants you cannot see, you cannot smell, you cannot taste, which means that some of the most dangerous water in our region actually looks perfectly clean. And families boil it, they try to filter it, they do everything they can, but boiling and adding chlorine and even simple water filters cannot remove these contaminants, arsenic and fluoride. So families end up drinking water every single day that slowly harms them and their families, even though they do everything they can to try and make it safe. So in the early years of this work, almost 15 years ago now, I think, we spent a lot of time out simply testing wells throughout the region, trying to figure out what's going on and giving people the news back. We were doing this with different community partners, with different research institutions from both the US and Mexico. And I remember one community specifically, this community called Cabana del Rey, and we gathered the families there to share the results of their water tests. And the fluoride was like 4 times above the limit, and the arsenic was almost 10 times above the allowable limit. Now, when people hear numbers like that for the first time, it's really incredibly heavy because they immediately understand something very simple. This is water that our families have been drinking for years. And what made those early meetings especially difficult was that we didn't have any clear solutions to offer, just bad news. The only thing that was really available was bottled water, which can be questionable in these rural villages. And so I remember we're giving the results back to the families, and a grandmother stood up and she said, can I give this water to my grandchild? I don't understand what I'm supposed to do. I can't afford to buy bottled water on a regular basis. What do I do? And what do you say to a grandmother? What do you say to a parent whose child is thirsty and the only water available could potentially harm them? What do you say to a community who probably spent decades trying to drill that well in the first place, and then we come in and say, you can no longer drink this water, you can't consume it? So this is something that happened again and again over the years, and the question everyone always asked was very simple: what do we do now? So over the years, we've learned to answer that question, what do we do now? And it doesn't start with technology, it starts with people. People like Luz here. She's the young woman on your far left there in the blue t-shirt. That's back in 2020 when Luz was still in high school in this community called Agustin Gonzalez. She was part of an environmental group of students that got together and partnered with Caminos de Agua. And together we began testing their water quality. We found exorbitant levels of arsenic and fluoride like more than 6 times above the limit. And the program eventually culminated with us building a rainwater harvesting system together with this environmental group. And we use rainwater, by the way, because rainwater is inherently free of very difficult to remove arsenic and fluoride. And when you pair it with a simple filter, which is what Luz is holding in that photo there, you have a really safe long-term source of clean drinking water. But after that project, the students pushed further. Luz and her classmates asked a very simple question. Why should we only have clean water at the school? What about our homes? What about our families? And so with the support from our team, but they really took the lead, they wrote a letter to the municipal government of San Miguel at the time, and that letter helped unlock funding to build 25 of these large-scale rainwater harvesting systems, and that's Luz receiving the filter at her family's rainwater system after that project. And it was one of the first times, but by no means the last time, that I saw students actually pushing forward water solutions themselves. So we fast forward 5 years, and that's Luz again on the far left for you all there. And Luz is in her early 20s now, and she is the first paid operator of a community-scale water treatment system in a small rural village called Alonso Yanez. Now, the well water there contains exorbitantly high levels as well, arsenic, fluoride more than 5 times above the allowable limit. And so the community got together with Caminos de Agua, and they built one of these treatment plants that removes these contaminants and provides safe drinking water access for the entire community of about 1,500 people. We call these systems Nuestra Agua, which means our water, because they're designed to be owned, operated, and governed by the communities themselves. And the way this particular project unfolded says a lot about how communities actually take ownership over their water. So a couple of years ago, the community's water committee reached out to us because they learned about the levels of contamination in their water, and they became very deeply concerned. So they organized themselves, they came out to one of our other treatment plants to learn what it was all about and how it worked, and then they took that information back to their village and presented it to the wider community. Now, from there, the project really started to become theirs. The community actually donated a piece of land where the treatment plant now sits, and families from all around the village came together week after week for literally months in what are called faenas, which are these community work sessions. And they were only able to work on the weekends, so the process was a little bit slow, but they built it themselves. Now, at the same time, different members of the community were working with our team through workshops, learning how to operate the system, learning how it works. And today, the plant is completely owned and operated by a committee that is elected by the community itself. That's Luz there in the gray sweatshirt. She was hired to run the day-to-day operations of the system. Doña Reina in the yellow sweater there, she's been responsible for the system's finances ever since we started. Don Arnulfo now delivers clean water to families' homes who don't have the ability to actually go and pick up the water themselves. This system runs because of them. Now, last year, a delegation from the Mitsubishi Foundation, of all people, we have a separate project with them, they came to visit the system in Alonso Yanez. And as so often happens, people start asking technical questions, and I was answering a lot of them, but I was also trying to step back a little bit and have the community operators take over. But we were in the middle of a pretty deep thing, and I was leading a conversation about something, and they asked a pretty technical question, and I honestly didn't know the answer. That doesn't happen too often, but I could feel myself starting to stumble a bit, and Luz sensed it. And then she just jumped right in without hesitation, and she explained what I couldn't. And she took the visitors through the entire system, showing how the water moves through the columns, how, what's removed at different stages, and why the flow rate matters so much. And that was the question that I was stumbled on. I was like, I don't really know how that works. But as she was explaining it, I was just standing there, I was listening to her, and I had this very simple thought. This wasn't our system. It was theirs. And brings me back to that idea again. Water is community. Not just because everybody needs water, but because lasting solutions only work when communities understand them, run them, and make them their own. So over time, Luz began thinking about how she wanted to contribute beyond just operating a water treatment plant. So she made the decision to actually leave, and she stepped back from the daily operations of the treatment plant. But before doing that, she did something very important. She, but not just her, others like Doña Reina, Don Arnulfo, they helped identify and train 2 young women in the community, Jimena, and that's Nancy there, to take over as the paid operators of the system. And what struck me about that moment was that our team didn't have to step in to make that transition possible. The community handled it themselves. The knowledge stayed in the community. The responsibility stayed in the community. And that's when you know a system truly belongs to the community, is when someone as important as Luz can step back and the community is there to take it forward. Now, one of the reasons Luz stepped back from the daily operations was that she joined our water school program. This is a 2-year initiative where young people from all across our watershed get together to learn about water technologies, land restoration, watershed management, community organizing, and all sorts of different community solutions. And what I find especially powerful about the program is that most of these young people have never even left their own villages. And often they don't realize that youth in other parts of the watershed, which is a pretty small area, are facing many of the same challenges that they're facing, and they have many of the same questions. So every couple of months, we bring together these youth from 28 different rural communities all around our watershed. And they learn together, but they also begin to see themselves as part of a broader community, part of a watershed community, amplifying the idea of what community actually means. And so, from there, they go back to their homes and they work on projects in their own villages, building community there as well. And so the program is strengthening local leadership in each village while also building this bigger, broader watershed identity. Today, there are 40 young apprentices participating, and about 75% of them are young women. And today also happens to be World Water Day, and that's all fitting because the theme of this year's World Water Day is water and gender. Now, women all around the world carry the daily responsibility for water, managing in their homes, protecting their family's health. And what's changing in places like Alonso Yanez and San Antonio is that women are also becoming the people who operate and govern these systems. Luz, Doña Reina, Jimena, Nancy, they're not just beneficiaries passively receiving a solution. They are actively leading it. And we're seeing that all across our region. Just this past January, we inaugurated a new community water plant in this community called San Elias. The system there is run by 2 operators, both young women, and it's overseen by a committee of 9 people, all but 1 are women. And when we started the technical training after building the actual treatment plant, something really interesting happened. This training, so you know, is intensive. We're talking about 40 hours over a couple of weeks with our engineers really understanding how to operate the system, how to troubleshoot it. And it was designed for the 2 operators who are actually going to be paid by the community to run it. But once we started the training, all 9 committee members showed up every single time. They wanted to understand how the system worked. They wanted to be able to step in if they were ever needed. They didn't need to do that. No one asked them to do that. They just did it again and again. And that kind of commitment tells you something. This wasn't a community waiting for someone else to come in and manage their water. They were taking responsibility for it themselves. So when I think back on that inauguration celebration in San Antonio de Lourdes, where I started this talk today all those years ago, I understand that moment a little bit differently now. At the time, I was surprised that nobody mentioned water, but now it makes sense. Because what people were celebrating wasn't really the rainwater harvesting systems. They were celebrating what they had built together. Over the years, I've seen that happen again and again in students like Luz and her environmental group who began asking questions about their water, in community leaders like Lucha who help guide the way and help organize communities, help bring them together, in communities like Alonso Yanez and San Elias here that take responsibility for building and operating their own water treatment systems, and in young people now in our water school program who are becoming the next generation of environmental leaders, but are also expanding the definition of what community really means across our entire region. Now, clean water systems matter, but what matters far more is who understands them, who runs them, who governs them. That's how a technology turns into a solution. And the one thing I've learned over the years is that none of this work happens in isolation. The communities themselves are at the center, but around them is a much larger network of people who walk alongside them. Grassroots partners, local leaders, researchers, even government every once in a while, and most importantly, supporters who really believe in this work. Now, this fellowship has been one of those partners. Both the fellowship itself, as well as many of you individually, have supported the work of Caminos de Agua and this work ever since the beginning, and that means more than I can easily say. You have helped make this work possible and sustained it over time, and that means all of you are part of this story as well. And that's why for us, this work has never really been about only water. It's about community. Thank you.
With so much negativity and war and everything out there on the news, isn't it wonderful to hear such a positive, uplifting message for a change? Okay, we have a World Water Day prayer. If you're willing and able, please join me in reciting this water prayer. It should be on the screen. Can you see it? Okay. Now? Okay. We give thanks. Oh, you're still working on it? No? It's not up? I'll just read it then. We give thanks for the wonder and power and beauty of this earth as it was created. How lucky we are to live as a part of this whole. As stewards, we are committed to caring for the water of this earth. We commit to protecting this precious resource. We acknowledge the injustice of keeping access to clean water in the hands of the privileged. We acknowledge the ways we take for granted our access to water. We recognize that we often forget that we are dependent on this precious resource. As we celebrate World Water Day, we acknowledge that our lives are woven together, bodily, spiritually, relationally, and ecologically. May we remember to seek justice for all who thirst and to protect people and land from those who threaten to steal or pollute bodies of water. We appreciate and give thanks for the water that nourishes and sustains us and all living creatures. And we support efforts to bring water to communities that need assistance to collect and treat water in order to survive and thrive. Amen. Now let's sing hymn 134, Our World is One World. The words are in your hymnal, but will also appear on the screen, and Lauren will help us with that.
What touches one,
A religious community is like a river formed from the many streams of our lives that meet and merge and flow to the sea. As members and friends of this religious community, we share our time and energy, our creativity, imagination and vision, our talents, skills and gifts, and the streams of our individual lives to create a river that is both deep and broad, a river that is made of many streams, sustains life, and refreshes the land through which it flows. But the river of this community also depends upon our shared financial support that makes real our shared values and vision. We will now receive an offering for the support of this religious community and its work in the world. You are invited to give generously and joyously as you are willing and able.
There comes a time when we need some water for our sons and daughters to be free.
Can't leave them behind, help them see tomorrow. Let's end the sorrow, join hands with me, with me, with me.
Together we can break the cycle of poverty. Together make it better, our life's not a mockery.
Empower the communities to thrive, one step at a time and we will rise.
United forever, I see inside. Nobody ever should be left behind.
Come together so we can break the chains. Clean water for everyone, let's make a change.
We are the leaders, we are protectors. Access to clean water, they gotta respect us. We stand together, so it's time that we step up. Let's end the poverty, everybody, we help us.
We are the leaders, we are protectors. Access to clean water, they gotta respect us. We stand together, so it's time that we step up. Let's end the poverty, everybody, we help us.
We are the leaders, we are protectors. Access to clean water, they gotta respect us. We stand together, so it's time that we step up. Let's end the poverty, everybody, we help us.
Thank you for being with us again today, and I hope you'll join us again next week. Returning to our pulpit will be Reverend Jim Coakley, and he will be developing the theme of freedom in the context of the Passover celebration of that week. I wanted to call your attention to the fact that a week from tomorrow, March 30th at 2 p.m., right here in this room, will be the celebration of the life of Jerry Fastrup. I know many of you knew Jerry, many of you enjoyed his musical offerings here and all that he did in participating in this community. So I hope that you will be able to join us at 2 o'clock. It'll be followed by a collation, and it'll be a real celebration. Jerry said he wanted an upbeat New Orleans jazz style memorial service, so we're doing our best. It also happens to be his birthday, so we'll have a birthday surprise in store as well. So please come and celebrate Jerry's life among us, and he'll be with us in spirit, I assure you.
Native Americans revered water not only as sacred, but as a living entity and as an ancestor. The songs they sang carried prayers to the waters and connected them with nature. They accepted it as their responsibility to protect the waters that they depended upon. We, as members of this Unitarian Universalist community, support Caminos de Agua in their ongoing efforts to assist our Mexican neighbors obtain clean water by building systems to collect and save rainwater and to treat their contaminated groundwater sources. We also appreciate that they are teaching our greater community how we can each test and treat our water to better protect our own health. For the postlude, we will share a video of another Native American water song. This Algonquin song is sung by grandmothers to their granddaughters. In this sacred song, they express loving gratitude for water and raise the consciousness and connection of all women with Mother Nature's greatest gift. Although their message applies to all of us, it seemed particularly relevant since this year's World Water Day theme focuses on water and gender issues, especially in regards to water and women.
Granddaughter, the water can hear you. The water has memory.
Nibi,
Wabo,
Endayan, Water is the life's blood of our mother, the earth. Water is the lifeblood of our own body.
To continue to pass on the knowledge that needs to be given unto the other generations. You are the keeper of the water.
To make the change in this life condition that we're in, that great-grandchildren will stand up to this truth of what life is about and to live it in such an honorable way, the way ancestors came to this earth.
Each day when the sun rises, no matter how bad the day before might have been, there's a new chance for your hopes and dreams. And I say, Chimiigwech, thank you for singing the water song.
Nibi wabo endayan aki miskwi nibi wabo hey